okay. Hey, how are y'all? This is Travis Gilbert, and
I'm Callie Gibbons.
And we are representing the Old Baldy Foundation today as we commemorate National Preservation Month. We're kind of marooned on the mainland, if that makes any sense today. The ferries and Baldi Island still taking a lot of precautions during the COVID-19 outbreak. So we're actually working from home today and thought that we'd talk a little bit about the preservation of Old Baldy Lighthouse by our employer, the Old Baldy Foundation. So McCallie is going to kick us off here, and we are going to turn the dial back the whole way to the year 1985. And while McCallie talks, I'm going to pull up here on my phone on Facebook. So if you're out there listening, drop us a line in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And if you have any questions, of course, place them there in the comments, and we will find an answer for you all. So McCallie, take it away.
Okay, so like we said, 1985, the Old Baldy Foundation was created by the Mitchell family, and really Donna Ray Mitchell was the head honcho of this, and the whole goal of creating the Old Baldy Foundation was to preserve and maintain Old Baldy Lighthouse. It hadn't been really taken care of since the federal government decommissioned it in 1935. So all those years, nothing had been done to it, and it needed a lot of repair. So Donna Ray Mitchell and a slew of other people got together, created the foundation, and started fundraising immediately to try to preserve Old Baldy. So yeah, it's kind of the beginning of the day.
All right. So when Old Baldy Foundation was 1 year old, what happened, McCallie?
So the first thing they did was do an archaeological dig of the lighthouse and the surrounding areas. And Travis has talked a little bit about the archaeological dig in some of our previous videos. But basically, they wanted to see what materials Old Baldy was made out of and maybe try to date them a little bit better, just get a little bit more of an understanding of the foundation of the lighthouse. And they also did it, like I said, around the area. So where the chapel is today was a part of the dig, and even going back to where Fort Holmes is, a piece of that was dug up. So we have a little over 100 pieces of artifacts from that dig: ceramic shards, glass, buttons, mini balls. What else we got?
Copper nails.
Copper nails, a lot of those.
Glass bottles,
Some intact glass bottles and a lot of shards. And so you can see those on display whenever the museum opens back up, or you can check them out online. We have them on our collections online as well. So that's the only dig that's actually been done of the lighthouse and the surrounding areas.
So Kathy Gilbert, my mom, is listening. Hi, Kathleen. She says,
Hi,
good
Kathy.
afternoon. Travis' family is watching. Thanks for tuning in. Anybody else out there listening, give us a shout out in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. So drop us a line and let us know your connection to Bald Head Island and the Old Baldy Foundation. So I'm going to bring us to the year 1990. And that is the year that the original preservation of Old Baldy Lighthouse occurred. And the group that preserved Old Baldy was Contractor Specialties. They were from Ohio. And the preservation work that Contractor Specialties completed in the year 1990 focused on the exterior of Old Baldy Lighthouse. So in the summer of 1990, Contractor Specialties sounded the entire lighthouse walls. That means that they took a rubber mallet and they kind of smacked each little piece of Old Baldy's wall, and that mallet would remove any of the stucco that was loose on Old Baldy's walls. Stucco kind of being like a fancy word for concrete. So once all the loose stucco was removed, Contractor Specialties, they mixed together lime, sand, and cement, and they replaced the stucco on Old Baldy's exterior, which protects all the 18th and 19th century brick underneath that stucco. Additionally, in 1990, all of Old Baldy's windows and its door was replaced with new redwood. Two of the windows were actually replaced and created into vents for ventilation to kind of dry and have a nice airflow throughout the interior of the lighthouse. And lastly, the ceiling and the ventilator ball and the lightning rod atop Old Baldy's lantern were replaced Hanover Ironworks here in Wilmington is what replaced all that metalwork up top. So that was the original phase 1, exterior preservation of Old Baldy. And I'll bring us to the year 1992, and that is when the Old Baldy Foundation did phase 2 of preservation work in the early 90s. This focused on the interior of Old Baldy. So Waters Craftsmen from Virginia, they replaced all the rotten wood inside of Old Baldy's staircase and its landings and its ladders, and they replaced it with new cypress wood. And in 1993, in typical Bald Head Island fashion, Easter weekend, Old Baldy Lighthouse reopened once and for all for climbs the whole way up into the Lantern Room. It was Good Friday that Old Baldy opened, and I got to admit, McCallie, Old Baldy reopened about 2 weeks before I was born. So it's pretty easy to remember, how long you've climbed Old Baldy or how long we've climbed. So I'm going to check out the Facebook comments, and McCallie's going to bring us into the 2000s.
Well, tell me a little bit about the stair project we did to get to the top. We did the
right.
fundraising.
Thanks, McCallie. Yeah, so the money raised in the early 90s to preserve Old Baldy's staircase was raised through a Steps to the Top campaign. It was a little over $120,000 that was raised in Steps to the Top. You could donate $1,000 and adopt, figuratively, a stair in Old Baldy. There's 108 stairs to the top. 5 individuals or families kind of supported the landings. They adopted, figuratively, each of Old Baldy's 5 landings for $2,500. And then the Mitchell family, the George Mitchell family that developed Bald Head Island as we know it today, they donated $5,000 and adopted the Lantern Room. And Steps to the Top, it took a little longer to complete that fundraising. It was in 1995 that Steps to the Top was completed, and all that monies was paid off.
Yep. So after we finished the Lighthouse, we started fundraising in the late 90s to build a museum for to house our artifacts and for gift shops. So in 2000, we finished the museum up. It is the Lighthouse Keeper's Cottage. It's a reproduction of our second Lighthouse Keeper's Cottage that was built for the original lighthouse, or for Old Baldy. So that's pretty much what they did. And the 2 big people that helped out with that was Donna Ray Mitchell, again, and Jane Oakley, who was our first executive director for the Old Baldy Foundation.
We have lots of people tuning in. Patty Henson says, hey Travis, she's listening out there from Missouri. Chuck Hughes, who is a listener to our other videos, he's saying howdy Travis. Suzanne says, hi folks, tuning in from Annapolis, Maryland. We miss your daily Facebook Live sessions. Susan, it's great to hear from you. Gail says, hey there, thanks, we love Bald Head. Just a great escape, biking like nowhere else, peaceful and exciting. And a friend of both of ours, Dawn Taylor, is listening in. So, hey, Dawn, and Gail, and Susan, and Chuck, and John, Patty, Kathy, thank you all for listening. And if you haven't dropped us a line in the comments, we'd love to hear from you. So McCallie is going to bring us even closer to the future in our timeline here for Preservation Month.
So preservation work really never ends, and so the first one was really done in the early 1990s, and it was time really in the early 2000s to start with another phase of preservation work and maintaining that lighthouse. So in 2005, International Chimney came from New York down to do a little bit of maintenance on the lighthouse. So a lot of this work was to maintain the water leakage problem that we were having and to try to repair that to the best of their ability. And the other part was to assess the stucco that was on the lighthouse. So they took some pieces of the stucco, examined it for us, and kind of gave us a couple of options that we could do to repair falling pieces or pieces that were kind of hard, and it's called Portland cement. So back in the early 1900s, long story short, when the federal government was taking care of the lighthouse, they used Portland cement sometimes to patch up pieces, and that's really hard on the types of bricks that we have. So it's really harsh when it comes off and it just doesn't deal well. Yeah.
Maybe we should remind folks that some of the bricks inside of Old Baldy are much older than Old Baldy. They were actually recycled from the original 1794 lighthouse that was deconstructed in the early 20th century. So we have 18th century materials that are used to construct Old Baldy Lighthouse.
So yeah, pretty much like that. So basically they fixed moisture problems. They sealed the gaps in the lantern room walls. They worked on the vent ball. They fixed the hatch at the top. They added some plexiglass up in the lantern and raised the handrails so when you walk up they are up to standards. And fixed some of the stairs and landings that needed a little bit of repair. So that cost us about $130,000 to do that repair in 2005.
All right, so that brings us to 2017.
You're missing me.
Skipping ahead in the timeline here. Okay, 2010, Macallie.
Okay, 2010, they did just a really small repair. So it was time to fix our windows in the lantern. And so Cape Fear Building Maintenance out of Leland came in and we spent about $24,000 repairing all the windows, and we have some extra windows now. So that was a really small repair. So let's bring us to 200.
Now 2017. 2017 is, of course, the 200th birthday of Old Baldy Lighthouse. And she got a pretty expensive birthday gift for her 200th anniversary. International Chimney came back to Bald Head Island. They once again sounded all of Old Baldy's walls, hitting the walls with a rubber mallet to remove any loose stucco, of course, which they replaced that stucco on Old Baldy's walls. In addition, they replaced the roof on the lantern room and that ventilator ball on top of the lantern room. There's a lightning rod up there they replaced. And additionally, on the ceiling of Old Baldy Lighthouse, the ceiling where the lantern room kind of sits upon, they put a copper seal on top of the lighthouse's ceiling. And that once and for all really made Old Baldy watertight during decades of attempts to really make her watertight. And I have kind of like a personal experience with how well this work was done in 2017. So after Hurricane Florence, not only was Old Baldy dry inside, thanks to the work that was completed over the decades, only 2 pieces of stucco fell off during the intense hurricane season of 2018. So without the work that was completed for the 200th anniversary, I don't think Old Baldy would have held up as well during Hurricane Florence.
No.
So we're really thankful, and on Easter weekend in 2017, in typical Bald Head fashion, Easter is a huge weekend at Old Baldy and Bald Head Island. They had a wonderful kind of birthday celebration with cake and dignitaries. You couldn't climb to the top of Old Baldy. The work was still completed. By that fall, they reopened for climbs, and we've been reopened ever since, now at even over 200 years old.
Yeah.
So we thought this would be really helpful to give you a brief history of the preservation of the Old Baldy Lighthouse. We are 35 years old here at the Old Baldy Foundation, so in honor of Preservation Month during May, we thought that we'd spend a little bit of time with you this afternoon and talk about the history of the wonderful organization that we are able to contribute to, and the wonderful organization that you all thankfully support.
So yeah, I think you've summed it up really well. So yeah.
All right, well, we're hoping to get back into the office. We're hoping that Old Baldy Lighthouse will be able to reopen to you all very soon. We're just waiting till it's safe to do so, and when the governor has released museums for opening. So in the meantime, you might want to visit oldbaldy.org. We have a brand new website since the quarantine.
Yeah, Abby did a great job on that.
Abby did do a really great job. And Macallie, do you want to tell us maybe about the gift shop that you can find at oldbaldy.org?
Yeah, so Jess, during all this, also created our gift shop online as well. So you can go to oldbaldy.org, and the top of it, one of the tabs is gift shop, and she has put so much on there that we sell in our gift shop all the time. The shirt I am wearing is new this year. We've got new mugs, puzzles, books, clothing, all that. You can find all that on the gift shop website. It's really user friendly. So yeah, check that out as well.
And of course, all those proceeds at oldbaldy.org through the gift shop sales, they go back to this preservation of Old Baldy Lighthouse that we've discussed with you this afternoon.
Yeah.
Alrighty, folks. Well, you stay healthy out there and stay safe. And until next time, you take care and you have a great afternoon.
Bye, guys.